another edition of We Can't Wrestle Live. Nate and Kyle are here with you to talk about modern product professional wrestling, as we are going to do every single Sunday night, except probably, Royal Rumble and WrestleMania Sunday, probably not, unless we go live on Facebook or something. But a lot to talk about this week, and a lot of it isn't even in the ring this week. There's a lot going on outside the ring right now. As an example, let's start off, I guess, by discussing the fact that this week Vince McMahon said that after this year, WrestleMania might not be on the network.
Yeah, what? I don't know. We'll see what happens with that, but there's a couple things with the network I wish they would do, and I would be willing to pay more for it if you could download shit and be able to play it offline when you're not connected to the internet or whatever.
Right.
And if they added, more stuff on the classics, I'd be fine with paying a little bit more. But
I've heard they've talked about doing those. They're talking about doing the tiers, where you get more for more money, like they're putting Evolve stuff on the network, maybe putting some indie organizations. I know one of the things that I read today that Dave Meltzer was reporting, take that for what it is. A lot of times he's wrong, a lot of times he's right. But one of the things he was reporting is that Vince is trying to get as many markets nailed down as he can, internationally and nationally, and get as much talent as he can signed, clinched into contracts. I think maybe he sees that there is competition out there, and this is how Vince reacts as a pure businessman.
Yeah, but again, it's one of those things where you need to fix what's broken first before you try to fucking spread out.
Right.
Territories. We'll get into that here in a few, but like I said, just a couple things here this past week in wrestling that kind of pet peeves, but we'll get to that in a second. But and who knows? Hell, the other rumor is that Amazon might buy WWE.
Yeah. Now, see, my thought was, because I have said, and I know I've said it on the podcast, that I've thought for probably over a year now that the way that WWE, just knowing businesses, working for corporations like I have and stuff, I think Vince is getting the company ready to sell it. I don't think, and I'm not saying that his family won't be involved in running it, but I think corporate-wise, his plan is before he croaks, he's going to sell that to a conglomerate of some kind. And my initial thought was Disney or Fox, being as, that's all one big thing now, I think. That it's hard to tell. There's like 3 companies that own everything nowadays, but I think it would just be weird to me for him to be selling to someone other than them. But I think that's what's going to happen, and wrestling just isn't wrestling anymore. That's the problem. Rocky Turner's in the house. Rocky says, "What's up, fellas?" Hey, Rocky, how you doing? We're just talking about some Vince McMahon, Mr. McMahon over here with the business dealings.
Speaking of Vince McMahon, so it was funny. The girlfriend is a big football fan.
Mm-hmm.
So, apparently XFL started last night or yesterday. They had like 5 games or whatever.
Yeah,
so
my dad told me he watched a game and said it wasn't too bad.
Well, so this is what's funny is I spent the weekend with her and I turned it on. I was like, hey, here's football, because she was sad the Super Bowl happened, and she's like, oh, I'm not gonna get to watch football until I said, well, XFL's on. And she's like, yeah, so I don't really want to watch a bunch of guys who weren't good enough for the NFL and people I've never heard of and teams never heard of. I think that's going to be the problem.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Josh Blevins in the house. Hey yo, Josh. Hey yo, Chico.
But again, I don't understand the point in the theory of trying to come out with XFL and stuff. It's like, again, fix your own shit.
Right.
Before you worry about anything else.
It's the fear that I've always had, when he put everybody else out of business and they went public on the stock market. Once you go public on the stock market, now you're answering to shareholders. It's a whole new ball game, and like I said, is this whole WrestleMania not being on the network, WrestleMania going to be, on some, does that mean WrestleMania winds up being free on Fox, like the Super Bowl or something? I don't know what that means. I don't know where we go with that. And I mean, maybe that would be a good thing, because then WrestleMania probably wouldn't be 7 or 8 hours long, because, a network is going to try to keep them to at least a 3-4 hour window, I would assume.
Unless they go to two nights or, whatever the case might be.
Which we've talked about that on the podcast before. Instead of making us watch 8 hours in one day, break WrestleMania up, make it Saturday, Sunday.
Well, and here's the thing that scares me the most. Okay, way back when WrestleMania was on pay-per-view, it was like $60 for the HD version.
Mm-hmm.
How much is it gonna be now? It's fucking 9 hours long.
Right.
I mean, I don't think people are gonna pay out for.
No, we'll just have to wait till they air it on the network a week later or whatever. Because I'm not gonna pay that much.
No, especially when there isn't anything really that intrigues me.
Rocky says Vince is going to drive the WWE right over a cliff. You might be right, Rocky. I mean, he might just, as he's about to croak, he'll be like, "Deuces, bitches."
Go back to 2002 when the NWO came in and watch those promos. They said, if anybody's going to kill it, I'm going to kill it.
Yeah. Are you the cancer, Vince? Are you the cancer? Blevins says, if WWE pulls pay-per-view from the network, will it kill the network? It wouldn't kill the network for me, Josh, because honestly, I watch the pay-per-views, especially to be able to talk about them on the shows, and because the pay-per-views are usually WWE's best shows. They're a lot of times the pay-per-view is not reflective of what the television product is like. But I don't think they would pull all the pay-per-views from the network. I think probably just Mania, because that is a draw for some people. But I would still keep it because I watch a lot of the library. I watch a lot of the old stuff, the 80s, 90s stuff. So it would still be worth $10 a month for me to have all that.
I think the biggest problem is if they were to pull pay-per-views off of there, you, me, Aaron, a lot of our fans, we watch it because we love watching old wrestling. But for that casual fan that buys it, there's not going to be that thing that brings them back every month. They might sign up for 1 month and go, well, I've watched everything I want to watch.
Right.
I relived, the there stuff.
Yeah, a lot of people. Yeah.
I'm sorry, but the problem is people aren't coming back for fucking bring it to the table. They ain't coming back for.
Nope.
Those are just extra stuff that is on. I don't think I've ever watched Bring It to the Table. I don't think I've ever watched Table for Three.
I've watched a couple of Table for Threes, but I have to be really intrigued by who's on it. I really, want to. Like, I watched the one with The Godfather and Farouk, and I forget who else was talking, but that intrigued me. I wanted to see that, but
the problem with that is it's not like Legends of Wrestling, which if you guys haven't ever watched those, go in and watch those. Those are cool as fuck. But everything is cut down to 20 minutes, and you can't really say all you want to say.
Right? Yeah. Oh no. No.
So it's like.
A shoot interview on the WWE network isn't necessarily a shoot interview unless it's that Austin show. They kind of let Austin's show do what it wants to do.
Well, yeah, that's
but he's Austin. You have Austin and Undertaker at a table. You're just going to let them do what they want to
do. Yeah.
So next two topics outside the ring that I wanted to discuss. Blevin says, I love watching the old stuff on the network, but that is like WWE saying fuck the fans by taking pay-per-view from them. Fair point, Josh, and it is. The WrestleMania is what it is. But if they took all the pay-per-views off, I would definitely look at it as a slap in the face. But as a sucker, I'd still be continuing to subscribe to their network because it's the easiest way for me to. Because I'm a wrestling dork, it's the easiest way for me to watch the whole Monday Night Wars in chronological order, or to watch every Starrcade. It's just the easiest way for me to do it. I know people say YouTube, but I don't want to have to look for it, and I don't want the next time I go to watch this page, it has been taken down for copyright claims. I just want to be able to find the shit easy and watch it in my leisure time. I don't want watching wrestling to be a chore, as Raw can be sometimes.
Here's the thing: us as fans, we want to support you, Vince. We want to support the WWE and give you our money. Don't fuck us over. Don't spit in our
exactly.
Face.
I have a beard. I have a beard with white in it. Vince, I have been watching your product since before I had a beard. Since I was 5 years old.
You came out of your mama with a beard.
Rocky says, "Hey Nate, is that one of my cards on the shelf?" I believe it is, Rocky. The macho back there. I think that is one of yours, buddy. Oh. Sweet work, anyways. So the next thing I wanted to talk about outside of the ring, a couple of things, is a couple of interesting contract things going on. Apparently, Rusev has not been on TV because he's having a contract dispute with the WWE. That's why the Lashley-Rusev horrible storyline is on hold at the moment. And how about the Revival? The Revival turned down $700,000 a year for a new contract with the WWE this week. Now, does that mean that we're going to see the Revival New Japan? I'd rather see the Revival in New Japan than I would AEW. I think that I don't know. They're the best tag team in the world. I don't think that can be disputed. Like, as far as technical wrestling goes, as far as what a tag team's supposed to be, and I think they'd be great in Japan. I don't know that I would want to see them caught up in the silliness of AEW. You talk about the silliness of the AEW does lots of things where if WWE did it, people would go, "That's stupid." So, yeah, if the Revival is going to make a move, I think that Japan would be probably the best move to make for them. I'd love to see them continue in the WWE and WWE to use them properly, but I
don't know if that's going to happen.
What say you?
If it was me, and again, I know that it's not me, so I can't. But if it was me, I would go to New Japan, and I would wait to see what happens with AEW. I'd wait to see what happens with, hell, even NWA.
Yeah, they'd be a great fit. They'd be a great fit in the NWA. But my thing with that is they're not going to turn down $700,000 a year from the WWE to wrestle for the NWA. No shot to the NWA. But if they're going to turn down that much money, they're probably going to go to one of the big three. Well,
but see, that's the big thing about it. Who's to say that in 6 months or a year that AEW doesn't become number 4 and WA gets, because wrestling is really weird right now. As much as it is on the decline as far as WWE standard, those smaller companies start to move up.
Yeah, there's more product right now, more product choices and quality product choices than there have been since the Monday Night Wars. There's more quality stuff to our alternatives to the WWE isn't just TNA and the brief amount of time that Ring of Honor was really good, because Ring of Honor has been such a roller coaster over the years that sometimes I'm a fan and sometimes I'm not a fan. Like right now, I'll be honest, I haven't watched Ring of Honor in it's been almost a year. I lost interest and haven't gone back. I don't subscribe to Honor Club anymore. And the last few things I've seen, even clips of, it looks like they're just dead in the water, and that's sad. It was a once great company. A lot of great talent came out of there, and a lot of great guys work there now, but it's just not my cup of tea anymore.
Well, the problem with Ring of Honor is now that you have AEW and you have New Japan, kind of everybody is kind of trying to sign people to their own exclusive contracts. Before, they mixed and matched, and you would get to see, AJ Styles defend the IWGP Championship in Ring of Honor.
Right.
That's fucking done now.
And that's something that I noticed. If you notice the beginning of AEW, with the first All In pay-per-view and everything, those guys kind of did Ring of Honor dirty. You know, they used Ring of Honor hardcore, then took a bunch of their talent and shit them out on the other side. And yeah, they used ROH dirty, I think, on that whole deal.
Yeah.
All right, so moving on to the week that was in television. We'll start with Raw. I love the Orton Edge stuff. Very much looking forward to that going, because obviously they're going to have a match at WrestleMania. There's no doubt. Orton was great this week. He's back to being one of the top. He was getting a little stale there, and just this past couple of weeks to me has kind of put him back on the map as far as one of the top heels in the business. And Randy Orton being Randy Orton.
You know, we all know what pro wrestling is. It's a show. But every once in a while, you have those things that come along, and you go, holy fuck. And that's what happened when Randy Orton hit Edge with those chairs.
Mm-hmm.
That both those guys made that look really good.
Yes. To
the point where I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, it was like we talked about last week. It was the thing that fans like us, old school fans, love about professional wrestling. That whole angle is a real good pro wrestling angle. It doesn't seem like it's some sitcom writer's room kind of bullshit. It feels like a good wrestling angle, and it's exactly that's how you do a wrestling angle. The heel puts the baby face out. Now the baby face is out. Now the baby face is going to get to make his triumphant return and take out the heel in the end. That's how this shit works. It's basic. It's like Raven said. There's only 7 stories you can tell in wrestling. You just have to tell them a little bit differently and really well.
We'll get into AEW in a bit, but imagine this. The 2 matches that I really truly want to see now is I want to see Edge versus Orton, because Orton's such a shit heel. I want to see Edge get his fucking hands on Orton, and I want to see Cody Rhodes get his hands on MJF.
Yes, and I was gonna discuss that when we get to the AEW.
But imagine that.
Mm-hmm.
It's not rocket science.
It's not rocket science. It's pro wrestling, baby.
Yeah, give credit where it's due. Like, Orton's not being like, oh, I want to be the cool heel. No, he's being a shit heel.
Mm-hmm. And that's the way he's always been best cast.
Yep.
To me, I've never really enjoyed Randy he's a great wrestler, one of the best psychologists in pro wrestling, period, of the past 40 years. But I've never enjoyed him as a babyface. I've always found him kind of bland as a face. The Viper / Legend Killer / just the evil douchey Randy Orton is the best of Randy Orton. This is exactly how I want to watch that guy.
I was a big fan of when he would spit in the face of the legends and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And to your point, again, it's like Ric Flair or Rick Rude. They're not baby faces. They're not good guys.
Right.
Like, if I go and pay my money, I want to see Ric Flair tell, "Shut up, fat boy." That's what I want. You know what I mean? I better see Rick Rude come out and tell me that I'm a disgusting slob, and this is what a real man looks like.
Exactly.
I want to fucking hate that guy. You know?
Yeah. You fill it, the bunch of Pennsylvania piss ants. Atlantic City sweat hogs. I love the Rick Rude insults. So another little note that I have here, we just talked about Randy Orton and Edge, the great angle with, he's your friend. Now he turns on you. Here's where WWE missteps. They did the same exact thing. After they talked about that angle, 20 minutes later, they do the same exact thing with Ruby Riott and Liv Morgan.
Yep.
Why did you just do the same storyline that you've done with these 2 main eventers?
It's different. That's the women.
That's the women. Yeah, the women are their own thing. Yeah, they're. Yeah. And not that I'm not, I like both of these ladies, and it's cool that they're getting some TV time and everything. But you just gave me essentially the same kind of story that you just told me in the last segment, and that is a problem. Is anybody looking at this? Is anybody talking about this?
Well, here's something big that WWE hasn't done for a long time, and I don't want to harpen into comic books, but if anybody here is a fan of comic books, which I know you are, they have one simple philosophy that they put into those. Make sure no matter if you are a first time reader or a long time reader, they put it in there so that way you know what the hell's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine if you were flipping through the channels and you just happened to find wrestling, 2 weeks ago, and here's
Right.
Liv Morgan, and you're like, all right, and all of a sudden Ruby Riott comes back and she attacks him. Like, well, who the hell is that?
All right. I have no story here.
Yeah, let him come back and be friends again
Yeah.
and rebuild the Riot Squad, and then
Mm-hmm.
you need to act like it's everyone's first show watching it,
Right.
so that way
Yes.
everyone knows what's going on.
Mm-hmm. And that's something that on the other flip, to give them some credit, they do very well with their video packages. I mean, as a fan that watches every week, I get annoyed with the video packages and I fast forward through them, but I understand why they're there. Like you said, there's somebody that this is the first Monday Night Raw they're ever watching. They're going to give pro wrestling a chance. What's going on? Josh Blevins says Lacey Evans is the best heel woman and Bayley is the best face, and WWE has, and they have fucked that up. We talked about that last week. I talked about that on the Asylum podcast last night. Absolutely. Lacey Evans is an amazing heel, and she is absolutely miscast. And I don't care about her stupid little... I don't want to say that. No disrespect to her family, but as that storyline does nothing for me. I don't want to see her as a loving mother. I want to see her as a bitch that calls people nasty like she was. And you're right. Bayley's the best babyface when she's a babyface. She's a better face than Becky. But they have her miscast as well. Turned her heel.
It's almost like they're saying, like, well, we got to do something to change stuff up because shit's going downhill. Instead of looking at it and going like, well, let's write better wrestling.
Well, it can't be. It can't be their judgment's fault. I mean, God,
Well,
they know what the hell they're doing, and we're just a bunch of dumbasses sitting in the seats.
Okay.
Like Sherry said. Like Sherry said at the Hall of Fame, you paid your ticket. Sit down and shut up. So next, if Vince McMahon does not see how over Drew McIntyre is, which I think actually with Drew McIntyre, I'm not afraid for Drew like I was for Daniel Bryan, because Drew McIntyre actually has, I think, the build and the body type that Vince likes. So I am very happy because I think that he's going to get the chance. Because that dude, if you watched Raw, other than Orton and Drew, that crowd was pretty quiet. But Drew is fucking over like Rover, and I'm so happy. I'm over the moon happy about that.
I am too. Here's my only fear. They had him come out and kind of do the Seth Rollins thing or the Roman Reigns thing, like, oh, thank you everybody for fighting through the storm.
Oh, shucks.
No, do not fucking. Why is it every time someone's like, "Oh, we're going to get behind this guy," they got to fucking make them the fucking John Cena mole where he comes out and fucking, "Oh, thank you everybody for coming, and it's great to see you." And
Right.
No, that's not what fucking Drew McIntyre got over.
Exactly. You're right.
Like,
You're right.
Can you imagine if Steve Austin came out and he was like, "Oh, gosh darn guys, it's great to see you here"? No, fuck no, that's not what.
But I did like. I think that the him telling his opponent, okay, I'm going to put this microphone down and then Claymore and I'm going to pin you, and then he does it, is very effective. I like that because a babyface should say they're going to do something and then do it. I mean, you can't do that every week. You can't just feed him somebody to do that to every week. But I thought it was well done, and it gets him over as strong. Rocky says, feels like there's no larger than life characters anymore. All the gimmicks are the same old, same old. You're right. Because there's no, they're all coming up through the same system now. They're all coming up with through the same trainers and the same vision of wrestling. They're all getting brought up in the WWE style. And even if they do come out of the indies for a few years, or they come from another company, WWE has to water them down. And look at Shinsuke. Look how much steam he's lost over the past few years. But
the problem is that again, let's say somebody Rusev for a perfect example Turns out if they had gotten behind Rusev Day, they would have immediately sat there and be like, all right, well, now he's over and he's our guy, so now we need to fucking micromanage him.
Mm-hmm.
Problem is that if someone gets over, like Otis, mark my words, if he gets any bigger, they're gonna start fucking with him because they're like, well, we know what makes somebody get over. It's
Vince,
like, no.
Vince is gonna be like, well, we need a T-shirt for this and a hat for this and an armband for this, and it all becomes a Disney character. And that kind of goes back to Josh's comment I'm looking at here. I just get so tired of the face heel flip flop every month. They've done that. They've done that with Rusev. That's one of the kind of things that's ruined Rusev is that they've what is his character? What is his identity? I don't know because you don't give me enough time. It's like Vince has ADD. He doesn't. You don't give me time to. You see what I'm saying? You don't give me time to absorb it. You don't give me a time to build this character in my mind.
So the reason why Steve Austin was the biggest star is because he never changed.
Mm-hmm.
He was still a bad guy. He just beat up the worst guys.
Rock too. Rock was always that cocky fuck, whether he was a face or a heel. He was the same guy, just fighting different opponents.
In Austin, like, he had a moral code.
Mm-hmm.
He would.
Not in real life. In real life, he beat his wives.
Yeah,
but
true. But you know what I'm saying, though, it's one of those things where it's like with Drew McIntyre, make him still the fucking ass kicking guy that he was.
Right.
Just make him go against the fucking shit heels.
Mm-hmm. All right, so we'll get quick couple other points on Raw, because of course, as we do, we're always gas bagging and talking too much, and we've got 34 minutes left.
Yeah, I don't know if you had it on there, but how awesome was it to see Mysterio versus Garza?
That was great. That was fantastic. Garza's over like Rover with me, as I've discussed, and I know he is with you too, and they had a fantastic match.
That was so fun to watch. I hope we get more of that.
And as I'm watching that, I really do like Zelina Vega, okay? Mm-hmm. But do you know who I really want to come to WWE? Selena De La Renta from MLW. That chick is a fucking heel. She is a heat magnet. I mean, she's also hot, but she is a heat magnet. And she's really, really good. I would love to see her in WWE, especially if she would go to NXT. But I got off on a tangent there. But yes, that match was amazing. It was really good. It was what lucha is. It was like a really good lucha match. What do you think of Charlotte and Rhea Ripley? I think it's too soon. I don't want to see it yet.
Nope.
I don't want to see Rhea Ripley do anything on the main roster. I want her to stay in NXT.
See, that was the thing. Like, I was hoping that Charlotte would go to NXT, not the other way around.
Mm.
Because, right now, like I said with Charlotte, when you have Becky and you have all these women, Charlotte's kind of lost in the shuffle. And it's like, don't just throw her into something to throw her into something. Let her go to NXT for a little bit.
Right. Yeah. And she did show up on the show this week, but it looks more like it's going to be... We're going to see most of this occur in the main roster deal or cross-promotion thing. I don't know.
By God, pal, we got to have it happen on Raw.
And NXT, that was... What's happening with NXT now was my biggest fear when they went to the USA Network is there's too much integration with the main rosters. I like NXT kind of being its own world, And what about Ricochet? Are we just going to see a 30-second Brock Lesnar squash? Is that what's going down?
Here's my thing, is that you're building to this huge match between Drew and Brock. We all fucking know it's going to happen. We all know that it's going there. Ricochet ain't beating fucking Brock at whatever the fuck they're... What are they calling it this time?
Is it Crown Jewel this time again?
I don't
remember.
Fucking penis in your anus. I don't fucking know what it's called. But why book that match? Everyone knows what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's not going to be an upset. And like I said, you're taking a character like Ricochet that could. I mean, honestly, he could be. That guy's never going to be the WWE champion. I mean, and I'm not I'm not going to say never, but I'm just saying I'm not discounting his abilities. But I don't know that it does him any good to go in and get beat up by Brock Lesnar.
It doesn't.
And I know Lesnar kind of put him over a little bit going into the Rumble, but that was what it was. And I don't know. I mean, I know that if Vince wanted Brock to lose to Ricochet, Brock would do it. I guarantee you, people like to make it sound like Brock won't do jobs and stuff. I guarantee you, with the money he's making, he'll do whatever they ask him to do. But I don't know. I guess I'd honestly, I'd have rather seen another Brock Seth match instead of, like I said, laying waste to Ricochet.
If you wanted to put something on over there, then put fucking Brock versus Matt Riddle.
Mm-hmm.
They have the heat, the anger. Be like, fuck it then, fine, put him in there.
Let's play with this for a little bit.
Why just stick somebody in there? And I know people are going to hate this, but I don't see the point in Matt Riddle. I don't see the appeal. I don't see the.
Yeah. I don't know. There's times I like him, and then there's times he annoys the shit out of me. So I think he's a decent wrestler. I'm not going to discount that, but sometimes his character wears thin after a while. I see what you're saying there. So quick notes. I'll just pop through this one real quick on NWA. Just a few things. I don't know if you saw it this week or not.
No, I haven't had a chance to watch it yet.
It was, and everybody knows I've been praising the NWA. It's like my favorite promotion right now. I love the NWA. However, this week there was a lot of silliness on the show. They had some guy come out acting like he was Tim Storm's mom. Goofy little shit with that. There is a manager in that promotion that's managing one of Aldis's guys named Mae Valentine. She's fucking terrible. She's awful. Like, her promo, I don't know if it's on purpose, but it annoys me. I do not like her. I do like the fact that they put the Pope with the Dawsons. That's a good thing. And Eddie Kingston. I don't know how familiar you are with Eddie Kingston, Kyle. I'm not an Impact watcher, so I didn't know a lot about him until he got into the NWA. That dude, he cuts real good wrestling promos. He's got really good psychology. I'm becoming a fan of Eddie Kingston as I'm watching him in the NWA. He just feels real to me, and I like that.
Well, see, and that's the thing, is that you're starting to see, and it's kind of cool because now we're starting to see these wrestlers that are coming in that are being trained in a new style.
Mm-hmm.
Going back to psychology, going back to the basics, basically. Like, I think in the next 10 years, you're going to see a whole different style of pro wrestling.
Yeah. Oh,
I mean, you might have WWE over here that's the whatever, but for us, like real fans, mark my words, I think NWA is where it's going to be at.
I hope so, because unfortunately, I guess in this situation, you're the optimist and I'm the pessimist, because wrestling, 25 years ago, 1995, I would never have imagined that wrestling would look like what it looks like today. And when I see that, I say to myself, okay, so a new wrestling fan, a 5-year-old kid like I was in 83 when I first started watching, this is what wrestling is going to be to them. Unless they have a father that's like one of us, like I did with my kids, neither one of them is even interested in it anymore. But unless they have someone that exposes them to the history of the business and the way the business was, this is what they think wrestling is. So as time goes on, because, a lot of these guys like the Young Bucks and stuff like to say, well, the business evolves. My fear is if this is what the new generation is saying, this is what wrestling is, where are we going to be in 20 years? Because it's already evolved into something that if I looked forward back in 95, I wouldn't even recognize.
This is
you
true.
See what I'm saying? Like,
I do. But I think what we're gonna see is it's just like it's like anybody, like anything, like music, art, it doesn't matter. The What's going to happen, I think, is that you're going to have these young guys who get into wrestling now. Like, let's say little Billy is 10 right now, and he's
Mm-hmm.
watching wrestling. God, he loves Roman Reigns, and he's watching fucking the Young Bucks. And the problem is when he gets to 15, 16, 17, he's going to be like, sick and tired of this fucking this cartoony shit. Like, what else is out there, you know? And that's when you're gonna, if NWA is still going there, like, well, wait a minute, this is completely different than what's WWE and even AEW is. What
Mm-hmm.
is this, you know? And that's where he's gonna go and be like, well, wow, this is actually like hard hitting and it's not a bunch of bullshit.
Right.
I think that's where we're gonna see it. It's like it's like WWE and WCW when the whole thing went down. Everyone got tired of the silly shit in WWE, and then when WCW came around with the NWO and things were more real,
Mm-hmm.
people bought into it. Everything's circular. I think that you're going to see us go back to an older style because people are going to get fed up with this new thing. People are going to be like, well, yeah, I've seen the fucking Meltzer driver, and that's fucking unrealistic.
And I am being the pessimist, but I am hoping you can look at me in 20 years and go, "Ha, you were wrong, motherfucker." I really do. That's what I want. That's what I want to happen, but I'm just very pessimistic about it because of the way that I've watched. We've gotten a couple of comments here. John Majewski says, "Love NWA, but tough when your TV outlet is YouTube." Okay, John, I will counter that with just one little tidbit here. Um, I think, and I know people, and some of the people that work for me or what have you, or just people I know that have. Not everybody has cable or satellite television, but everybody has a mobile phone with a mobile plan. I don't know any. I know lots of people who honestly that don't have like cable, but everybody has a cell phone, and I think that that is somewhere where NWA has actually an advantage by being just on YouTube. Excuse me, by being just on YouTube is you have everybody has a phone. Everybody watches YouTube. Everybody uses YouTube. Um, they may not have WWE Network. They may not have an extended cable plan or something to that effect, but they've got YouTube and they're on it a lot. So I actually think I see what you're saying, John, but I look at kind of the other way. I think maybe being on YouTube is actually kind of an advantage for them. Um, Blevin says kids nowadays don't even know what thugonomics is, let alone the legacy of things like the Horseman. True, very true, and that's why I was saying as things evolve. I mean,
This is true, but think about it. Okay, how many kids do you know? People do you know that they grow up and they listen to like today's music? Like how long is it before a lot of them will find bands like Fish? They'll find bands like Metallica. They'll find Iron Maiden and stuff. The fact is that once things become stale and become, well, I guess, stale, they're going to search out for something new.
mm-hmm.
They're gonna see NWA and be like, well, that's pro wrestling. What's this about? Or they're gonna sit there, and this is where it's huge to help educate people on the old style
Mm-hmm.
of wrestling. I think again that it's gonna just be a simple thing that there's a change coming, and the fact is that almost everybody now is the same. They're following WWE's script. And when WCW first went off business, that was fine. It's like everyone's following WWE, they're the winners. But now we're going on almost 20 years
Mm-hmm.
since WCW went out. People have forgotten what
Yeah,
that sub-based style wrestling is, so it's becoming new again.
and hopefully that's the case. Hopefully that's the case. John, to my point on YouTube, says agree, but no money on YouTube. Even big YouTube views is very little money. True, just as cash stream right now. But they are lucky to have a famous rock money supporting it. You're right, John. I mean, I'm not at all. I guess I was thinking about just as far as exposure goes when you said TV outlet is YouTube. I wasn't thinking about you're right. The money isn't obviously going to be there unless they can just really rock it and get the views. So I see what you're saying there, John, about the lack of money stream. And I know that because I'm trying to build a couple of YouTube pages myself right now, and I mean, it's not going to be easy. It'll be worth it once the hard work's over and the money's there. But I mean, I see what you're saying, Magic, on that one.
Give it 2 or 3 years, because if NWA can continue on its path and build more and more and more fans and everything else, it's not going to be too long before a network's going to be like, hey.
Mm-hmm.
Here's a fucking property that people are going out of their way to watch on YouTube. Let's put it on our network.
Right. But then do they fall into the trap of the, because, right now they're on YouTube, they're doing their thing. You fall into that trap of, okay, now they say they get acquired, by CBS. CBS wants to put them on. CBS wouldn't, but I'm just using CBS as an example. So now you've got CBS executives at every show. You know what I'm saying? It's just like I said about WWE becoming publicly traded. Once you let those people in, once you let those suits in there, it starts to change things. And
that's where you need to have people, and hopefully that's the case, because AEW sure as fuck ain't this right now. But you need those people in there, like a Jim Cornette, like a whoever. But you need those guys in there to sit there and be like, no, that's not going to work. No, that's not how this is how it needs to be done.
Yes, this is how wrestling is. Before we move on to NXT, I don't actually have a lot on NXT this week because I thought it was just a passable, decent show, and there's not a, it wasn't like a right home to your mama kind of show. It was a good wrestling show. But Josh says, and you're right, Josh, just because something is old doesn't mean it's stale. The caveman invented the wheel, but I still use it on my car. Absolutely. And I although I'm a little old and stale at this point, but whatever. I'm married. She loves me. I ain't looking anymore anyway. NXT this week. I wrote, I just keep praising Angel Garza. He's great. Adam Cole is amazing. I mean, it's such a good show, and there's such good talent. It's like I'm saying, it's like a broken record. I'm saying the same thing over and over and over again. I really am enjoying the Balor Gargano feud. I'm looking forward to that at Takeover Portland. I'm glad that Catanzaro chick is back. I think she's really cool. And then the biggest things were, I wanted to ask you, Kyle, how excited are you about Ciampa and Adam Cole?
I am extremely excited about Ciampa and Adam
Fuck Cole. Yes.
This feels like the first real big title match that NXT's had in quite a while.
Mm-hmm. Well, they've been watered down again with a lot of the cross branding stuff going on. It's lost a little bit of the show itself every week is good, but the brand itself to me has lost steam because it's got put into that glob. It's in that glob, and I like NXT when it's not part of that fucking glob.
And that's the thing. You can't just throw everything together. It needs to be different.
Mm-hmm.
I like the fact that they have built to this match. It's Ciampa's redemption story of like, hey, I fucking want my title back.
Mm-hmm. And he's I actually watching him as a heel when they did the thing where they turned him babyface. He's still kind of a tweener, but they turned him. I didn't like the idea of it because I liked him so much as a heel. I'm liking him as a face though. I mean, he's good. Really good, actually. I'm not going to say he's good. He's passable. No, that's not what I'm saying. But, I mean, at first I had fears when I saw that they were kind of going a babyface route with him because, like I said, he just was such an amazing heel.
Well, but he hasn't really changed.
No, it's just like we were talking about with Austin and The Rock. He's still the same guy.
You just hate fucking Adam Cole more.
Which
now he's going against Adam Cole, and you're like, I want to see him beat up
mm-hmm.
Adam Cole.
And Adam Cole is a guy that One day he's going to be a really good babyface. But I feel about Adam Cole the way that back in the day I felt about Shawn Michaels, in that I always, okay, first run Shawn Michaels, not after 2002 Shawn Michaels. First run Shawn Michaels, always liked him more as a heel. He was always a better heel to me than a babyface. As a babyface, he always just came off so cheesy. Once he came back in 02, he was, for a while there, he was the best babyface in the business. You know, but he was a different guy. He was literally a different guy.
So he had God on his side. I don't know how more of a babyface you can be.
Josh says they are working on taking all the gold from Undisputed Era. I'm hating that. Me too, kinda, because I want them to be like the Horsemen. You know, I want them all to have a belt. It's cool when a heel group has, you know, everybody's got a belt. It shows how dominant they are. So I kind of agree with that, Josh. Okay, so let's because we've got 15 minutes here. Let's roll into AEW, because I am probably, I guess I'm a critic of AEW a lot of the time, but they do some things I like, and I want you to talk first about what you brought up earlier, which is the best thing in AEW right now.
When
Cody
AEW
Rhodes
does something right, they do it fucking right.
Yes, and then the rest of the show's a fucking train wreck. It's like AEW is the schizophrenic wrestling promotion. And like I'm not going to go on. We don't have time for me to go on the same rant that I do all the time about how they need a guy in charge. But go ahead and talk. I know you wanted to bring it up earlier, MJF and Cody.
Real quick before I get into that, let's talk about Moxley, John Moxley, taking out the eye.
Arr.
Like, that's fucking brilliant. Like, you know, fucking eye for an eye. Like, that is good storytelling. But if you haven't watched Cody Rhodes get fucking manhandled, 10 fucking slaps against the back, go watch it. And go watch. It was brilliant how they did it, because, you know, after a few, here comes Arn Anderson.
Mm-hmm.
And then here comes Dustin. Then here comes the Young Bucks. And finally, here comes his wife, Brandy.
And this is what I was going to say, and this is why I said NXT this week. You know, this is the first week since the whole thing started where, and it was just kind of because NXT was just kind of a story. It was just a regular show. You know, there wasn't anything really, really impactful to me. But this is the first week where I say, maybe, just maybe, AEW kind of edged NXT out. And it's because of that segment. That segment, they didn't rush it. It was like 15 minutes. They didn't rush it. They told an emotional story. It's the first thing in AEW that I have sat there. You know, usually when I'm watching wrestling, I'm going to be honest, I'm working on, you know, converting an Asylum or a We Can't Wrestle thing to YouTube, or working on producing something, or reading, you know, researching something, and watching the show as well. That was the first time that I've been watching an AEW show where I did not even divert my eyes for 15 minutes. It was so good. It was so good. Whoever wrote that should be writing the whole fucking show. That's what I'm saying. You don't need 14 different voices. That voice right there is the voice you want, and you're going to get me as a fan if you use that voice.
And I don't know whose call it was, whether it was MJF's or whether it was fucking Cody's call, but it was very small, very quick. If you didn't see it, you missed it. The last fucking hit, the last fucking smack from that fucking belt was right after the Dream tattoo.
Yeah. Brilliant.
Oh my God. And for him to look scared as fuck, like, oh shit. Like, I think he was going to make it through this. Now I'm fucked. Like, oh.
And now next week, you know, you'll have, you know, Cody goes in next week he goes in the cage.
Yeah.
Yeah, with Waldorf or whatever his name is.
With Waldo? Where's Waldo?
Where's Waldo? He's in the cage. Go fight him. But anyway, Waldorf and Cody. But yeah, no, this was the best thing AEW's ever done. Ever. ever done. For all the garbage that they've done, this is a shining example of what they can do. They're obviously capable of doing this. Give me more of that AEW, and I will put you over on this show all the time.
And fucking, you gotta give it to Jim Ross again for having those calls. Because when MJS flies out of the ring and fucking takes all, you're like, oh, that son of a bitch.
The Chris Wood checked in. I think sorry, Chris, I didn't see that. I think he's still talking about, this is when we were talking about Ciampa. Thing is, with his presentation, is he really a face? He's doing the same thing. It's just this time fans see it as justified. Yeah, and that's kind of what we were saying. It's he doesn't have to change, but it's just like Rock or Austin. Same guy, different crowd response, fighting different opponents. Josh Blevins, how do you feel about Britt Baker? I have Britt down here, Josh. So that'll be the next thing we discuss after learning she legit has a dentistry that she operates 4 days a week and wrestles on Wednesdays. I have a ton of respect for her. She's a really good wrestler. I really like Britt Baker. My problem that I have written down on this sheet here is she shouldn't be a heel. She's awkward as a heel. I don't like her as a heel. They should have just left her a baby face. She's a great wrestler. She's a great face. She's a shitty heel. It's not her fault. It's how she was booked. But I don't know. She's miscast. Like we were talking earlier about Lacey Evans and Bayley. Britt Baker is miscast as a heel. I don't like her as a heel. I liked her as a face.
The problem is that, again, it's the fact nobody wants to sit there and realize like how pro wrestling should be done. And I know that we're not bookers and we're not wrestlers, but I mean, it's simple. You go with what the crowd is going for.
Mm-hmm.
It's not rocket science. I mean,
nope. So one more question about AEW, then I want to talk. There's only actually one thing I want to talk about from SmackDown. SmackDown is, to me, the most passable. Like it's the show that I care about the least on TV. But AEW, fucking Excalibur. Get rid of Excalibur. He is garbage. You have Taz. Why isn't Taz on my TV for 2 hours with Jim Ross? Taz and Jim Ross. That's what I want. Why do you give me this clown, this clown in a mask, this Excalibur fucking guy? I hate that guy. He brings nothing to the show. He sounds like you or me just sitting there going, "There's a wrestler guy."
Well, it's because it's because you have those internet fans who are like, oh, well, he was part of PWG. Guess what? Pro Wrestling Guerrilla ain't fucking around anymore because of shit like that. That's why they're not. I'm sorry. That's why all of your big stars are no longer wrestling there.
Mm-hmm.
They're all in AEW, WWE, fucking TNA, or NWA because they're like, oh, we have a guy wearing a fucking mask announcing. Who looks like a mark in that situation? I'm sorry.
He especially I don't like him anyway, but I especially seethe about it now that I know they have Taz. Why isn't Taz on? I love Taz as a color. Him and Taz is. I loved Taz's commentary team with Michael Cole. I thought Taz and Michael Cole were one of the better commentary teams, of the past 20 years. Taz is a great color guy, yet he's on the show for 5 minutes, and you've got this fucking clown on my TV for 2 hours. Jim Ross, Taz, Shivani does the interviews. That's how it should go.
Yep. Again, it's not. It's just like I hate to say it, but just like what happened with WCW when Eric Bischoff took over. It's like, okay, look, we don't want to be looked at as a fucking small time wrestling business.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, if you have Taz and you have Jim Ross and you have Tony Schiavone, fucking center and present those guys.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm sorry, Excalibur, you fucking look like
you're a clown.
From a goddamn indie fed, and we don't want that. We want a fucking presentation and make it look like we're something good.
Excalibur has a stupid little mask. Give him a replica belt and sit him in the front row, and he can look like a fan. Go away, Excalibur.
I'm sorry, but fucking I don't even know a football player, but fucking you don't see Michael Jordan wearing his goddamn jersey or fucking Brett Favre wearing his fucking helmet if they're on ESPN because they're not fucking marks.
2 minutes. 2 minutes. Goldberg, Bray Wyatt. What do you think about that shit?
It's ridiculous. Why is Goldberg still on our TV?
Goldberg's the only Jewish guy ever over in Saudi Arabia.
How's that go?
And I don't want Bray Wyatt fed. I don't want the Fiend fed to Goldberg. Like you could have.
Now they go out there and fucking the Fiend destroys Goldberg. Okay, great.
Yeah, and that would be great, but I'm not looking forward to what might happen with that. Of course, I don't watch those shows anyway. Out of principle, I don't watch the Saudi Arabia shows anyway, so I won't see it. But
I can't Goldberg be like MVP and just be like, look, I had my last match so my son can watch me. I'm going to bow out. See you guys later. My time's up.
Yeah, nobody's next. Yeah. Jeremy Cotton says, God damn it, my sister called me and I missed the show, or missed it. Well, Jeremy, the show's on YouTube. It's on Facebook. You'll be able to watch it, brother. You can watch the show. You just won't be able to watch it live.
Real quick, speaking of legends and everything else, apparently there's talks of Undertaker versus Sting.
At this point, I don't even want to see it.
I don't need to see it.
It's at this point. I mean, I don't know. Just
they wanted Sting to go to Saudi Arabia. He said no.
I don't know that it would be. It's not going to live up to what you want it to be. You know what I mean? At this point, It's time to just say, okay, it's never going to happen. It's like it'd be like I don't want to see Austin Hogan anymore. I don't want to see a busted hip Hogan versus a busted neck Austin. In their prime, absolutely, but at this point, it's time to move on.
I'll argue and stay even in their prime. It's not everybody says they want to see it, but it's one of those things. Mm-hmm. It's like Austin versus Goldberg. You say you want to see it, but there's only it isn't going to play out the way you think it's going to play out.
No, it's going to be a letdown.
It is. There's nothing. I love Sting, but Sting is not. He's not Shawn Michaels. He's not going to go out there and have a 25-minute fucking classic with Undertaker.
Right.
I love Undertaker too, but Undertaker still is. There's a reason why with Shawn Michaels he had a great match because Shawn helped
exactly
and helped him through it. Undertaker was never a guy that was meant to be a 25-30-minute classic. I mean, same thing with Austin and Goldberg.
Absolutely.
I mean,
so
there's a reason why you never saw it.
Yes, and I don't want to see it at all. So to wrap things up, I want to remind everybody of the contest that's going on right now. Now, let me tell you, Aaron knows Kyle, and Kyle knows Aaron. That's what I wanted to say. Kyle knows Aaron. Aaron doesn't get up off free shit very often in his life. No. But right now, for you, the listeners of the show, and the members of the group, he has a contest up right now where he's giving away free shit. All you have to do is invite your friends to join our Facebook group, and Aaron will give you some free shit. There will be a drawing for anybody that invites people to join our Facebook group. I am putting them in a drawing that we are going to do Wednesday, or we're going to do Thursday. The cutoff is Wednesday night, 11:59 p.m. to win Aaron's free shit. And I have the pictures up on the Facebook group, so invite your friends. Don't forget to listen to the We Can't Wrestle podcast. Episode 86 is out there right now. Aaron and I talking about some more guilty pleasures in professional wrestling. That was a fun episode, and so much going on. The Asylum podcast just landed about noon today, so listen to the new episode 4 of The Asylum, and of course, We Can't Wrestle Live with me and Kyle. I'm a busy man. I have a real job too.
And let me say this real quick, since we've got just about a little bit of a minute to go here. Brian Pillman Jr. You're right. We can't wrestle, so we did start a podcast. We're to hear from you, sir.
Brian cut a little promo on us. Thank you, Brian. We appreciate that. And I just want to say, I don't have to go to bed early tonight. So after the show's over, those of you that are watching might have a little scoop on something coming up later. Oh, I'm out of camera there. Maybe, just maybe, some We Can't Shuffle tonight.
Can I join you for the weekend shuffle?
You can join me in comments. I can't put you in a Facebook Live video though.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
I can't.
Facebook, fix your shit.
But you should come and comment. You're an admin, so I'm not letting you win anything. But
that's fine. It's the story of my life. What can I say?
You come over a couple times a year. You could just put some shit in your coat, and I'll never notice it's gone. So, well, Kyle, thank you.
Yep.
For being here with me, of course, and thank you all for watching the We Can't Wrestle Live, and we will see you next week, and who knows what the hell's going to happen in a week, so we'll see you next week, ladies and gentlemen, for We Can't Wrestle Live. And yes, I want to end the broadcast